DBS Treasures Annual Wealth Summit powered by CNBC-TV18.com.
The first edition of DBS Treasures Annual Wealth Summit was recently held in Mumbai and Delhi, where wealth management experts and policymakers convened to explore the transformative influence of digital innovation on the evolving landscape of wealth management. Hello and a very warm welcome to DBS Treasures Annual Wealth Summit powered by CNBC-TV18.com. I'm your host, Mugdha Kalra. We've all gathered here today to explore the dynamic landscape of wealth management, an industry that's undergoing a profound transformation. So let's dive in and uncover the secrets to thriving in the new era of wealth management. And now to set the ball rolling for tonight and to tell us more about DBS Treasures, please welcome on stage Managing Director and Head Consumer Banking Group DBS India, Mr. Prashant Joshi.
The way DBS looks at wealth and markets is not on the basis of lows and highs. We don't get ecstatic because the markets are on a high, and neither do we get depressed because the markets are low. Because wealth, as some people in the panel will later tell you, is something that's got to build over a period of time, something that's got to be built through the cycle and needs to last for generations together. And if we don't have that view to wealth, we shouldn't honestly be in business. With that commitment, DBS Bank works. And with that commitment, DBS Bank is amongst the only two banks in this country which, as a foreign bank, operates here as a wholly owned subsidiary. But more important than what we do is important as to how we do it. And trust is at the center of everything that we do, which should not be unusual at all for a banking institution to be talking about. There are only two elements to trust. One is competence. The second is integrity. And we do believe we bring both of those to the table. And on the basis of that trust, and that's how we would like to do business with our customers. Thank you.
It is time for our first session of this evening, themed The Changing Face of Wealth Management in India.
What does the wealth management industry need to do to gear up for the next leg? I mean, how is growth looking from here on? And then, what are you seeing in the wealth management landscape?
I think wealth management industry, today is actually far more in a better sweet spot than maybe 5 years back. Today, the predictability of wealth is far higher. The need of the people who have got a wealth is also equally higher. Therefore, wealth management and the industry will probably become, my own gut feeling, will become larger than even mutual industry from a value point of view. From value point of view, the number of customers will be less, but the value that we'll be managing on a totality, I think, will be far higher.
Speaking of digital, Nilesh, let's get your thoughts on this. What has the sort of changing phase of digitization in technology, what has that meant for your own distribution, sales, marketing, and what do you see? What trends do you see ahead as more and more purchases happen on this device that we keep with us?
India is a heterogeneous market. There is a segment of senior citizens which have wealth and which will require physical touch from a service point of view and a tech-enabled delivery. On the other hand, there are Gen Zs who probably want a tech-led service as well as delivery. There will be need for branches, there will be need for technology, there will be need for RMs, there will be need for AI to deliver. Organizations which will leverage both and provide a continuous supply of relationship, service, and enablement, I think that will be the way forward.
All right, moving to our first panel of the evening, which is on Gateway to Successful Wealth Management.
So I want to start by opening up the panel and getting thoughts from all the panelists on sort of where we are and what are the chief one or two trends that they see in the industry. Ashutosh, you want to take that off?
But some of the key features which have come forward, I think we are seeing in the family office space more and more families who are doing business, doing well in recent times, have now begun to take up the task of setting up an office to look after their future. And it's not just about investments, it's about every aspect of managing the family's affairs. The other problem which persists is that of conflict between advice and product sellers. And we are finding that as wealth is increasing, family offices are actually getting more and more defensive about whose advice should they actually believe. And therefore, the reason to come to hire professionals so that they can differentiate between, is this good advice or is this not? So these are some of the features which are coming forth faster now.
Tushar, same question to you. Top of mind trends that you're noticing in the business.
If you look at how equity investing has shaped up in this country, we had an entire generation of entrepreneurs, of people, even people from the service class. Let's say if I go back to my dad's time, the number and nature of options in equities were very limited. What I see now is that there was this lacuna, the understanding of equity as an asset class and the exposure and the way to play it. That is now changing. People are now becoming more aware. So clearly today, the number and nature of equity investments, the options available, opportunities are far better. The advice that you have available is far better. What is needed is for someone to explain to the HNI or to the individual who's investing why equities as an asset class stands out.
Awareness about whole lot of products have increased. The basket of product, the opportunities are increasing. People are willing to experiment. People are willing to look at newer products. The second thing which very clearly is noticeable, that's the wealth effect. So the third point is somewhere, and this is fantastic for the industry, people in general have realized the need for a wealth manager.
Richa, let's bring in the DBS perspective. When you're talking about family offices or ultra HNIs, then how does the digital piece fit in?
We need to really understand what is the customer persona, client segment that we are catering to. Family offices, yes, very niche, very, handful of families that, we can think about, and very competitive space. But when we look from a bank's point of view, we cater to from retail to very sophisticated HNIs and ultra HNI segment as well. I look at 4 personas very clearly. One is the SME promoters, owning a business. Second is NRs, non-resident Indians, because, that's where we look at our cross-border collaboration. Third is, senior citizens. And then we have a fourth segment, which is professionals who are in corporate jobs, very different, very busy people. How do we kind of, give them solutions which are easy for them to maintain, and they don't have to really apply their mind. And that's where this client segmentation becomes very critical, and how do we kind of cover each segment more effectively.
Let's move on and speak about lessons from Singapore. And to moderate this session, may I invite my colleague from CNBC-TV18, Ritu Singh.
What would you say has been the biggest impact that technology has had in the wealth management space?
When I was interviewing with Mire Asset, and my boss then had asked me this simple question: how long will it take you for you to talk about your product to the entire country? It was like a googly question to me, so I flipped it back to him. And I said that, this question was definitely out of the syllabus, so I flipped it back to him, and how long will it take in Korea? He said, 45 minutes. I said, what are you saying? He said, everybody has a phone, right? And that's where it dawned to me that, this is going to change, right? But the story was going somewhere till COVID. I think post-COVID, what we are seeing is the beginning of a digital transformation in India. I think first block of us moving to a transactional era of digitization has happened.
Okay, Feroz, let me put that question to you. As someone who's been in the space for so long, how far advanced are we in using technology in the wealth management space?
I think we are still scratching the surface. The use of technology can be for threefold in our business. One is to create advice. One is to deliver a report. One is to transact. I think transacting and delivering a report is in my office, not the most intellectual work. Creating advice using technology is the missing link. So I think using technology for advice creation is something which I think the industry needs to focus on.
Bharat, broadly give us your sense of what at DBS has been your approach to wealth management.
Sometime in the first 10 years of this century, we turned around and said, this is the future. Digital is the future. We want to adapt digital in a big way. And in our home country, Singapore, I think that change started happening very early on in the 2010s and 2012. And today we are known as a digital bank largely, though we also are physical. So as we get into India, people spoke about wealth management in tier 2, tier 3 cities. It will be impossible for us to set up physical RM in every city. So how do we look at solutions which are digital? We call it digital wealth. Conceptualized, implemented, millions of people, millions of our customers across the rest of the world, specifically Singapore, use it. And now we bought it in India as well.
Well, let me take that forward with you, Lakshmi. Digital, phygital, these are some of the words that we've been hearing. But how do you see this space evolving? What is the ideal ratio? Will there always be the need for that human touch?
See, it's not about digital or physical or phygital as they call it, but let me attempt a new word called digital. So I think digital is the word where you are going to have digital at the forefront and yet not forget your roots in terms of having those physical locations. Phygital will give you a feeling that, okay, have your physical locations, but then have digital as an ancillary, whereas I'm just flipping it and making it digital. I think that is the way forward, at least for us at Kotak Alternates. That's what we keep thinking, because ultimately, you don't need to necessarily have locations or, branches or, just for the sake of it, just because everyone else is doing it, because that was the thing of the past. COVID has taught us a lot of these lessons, how things can be done digitally. So I think the buzzword here clearly is digital.
Well, that brings us to the end of the Mumbai chapter. The upcoming discussions will focus on thought leaders and industry experts sharing their insights from the Delhi chapter of DBS Treasures Annual Wealth Summit. Stay tuned.
DBS Treasures Annual Wealth Summit, powered by CNBC-TV18.com. DBS Treasures Annual Wealth Summit, powered by CNBC-TV18.com.
The Delhi chapter of DBS Treasures Annual Wealth Summit, powered by CNBC-TV18.com, brought together thought leaders, visionaries and industry experts navigate through the wealth management landscape together.
Hello and a very warm welcome to DBS Treasures Annual Wealth Summit Delhi chapter, powered by CNBC-TV18.com. So let's dive in and uncover the secrets to thriving in the new era of wealth management. Without further ado, may I first please invite on stage Mr. Prashant Joshi, Managing Director and Head Consumer Banking Group, DBS Bank, to deliver the welcome note address. Sir.
We are engaged in corporate banking, SME banking, consumer banking, and wealth management, which is a part of the consumer banking, is something that's been growing very, very fast over the past several years for us, just as the entire industry is also growing. And therefore, what becomes important, not just in the context of wealth management, in the context of the bank also, is the heritage that we have got from Singapore. And we take a lot of pride in that and build on that in India as well. Wealth management trends may keep changing, and we do hope that through this event, we are able to capture some of these trends and establish thought leadership in the area of wealth management. Thank you for coming again.
Our upcoming keynote address, titled Unlocking India's Financial Investment Opportunities, shall try and unravel the tapestry of India's financial future. And for that, let me take this opportunity to invite on stage Mr. Sanjeev Sanyal, Member, Economic Advisory Council of the Prime Minister and Secretary to Government of India.
Now, all of you are aware that India is currently the fastest growing economy in the world. We will be this year hitting a GDP of about $4 trillion. You're looking at maybe 18 months, maximum 24 months from now, when India will become the world's third largest economy. And so by 2030, we should be at about a little over 9% of the world economy. And from there, as you know, compounding is one of the most powerful tools in the world. We will begin to claw back more and more of our true place in the world economy. Now, what is our true place in the world economy? Well, we happen to be 1/6 of the world population. So our true share of the world economy should be about 1/6. That is what we should minimally aspire for over the next 20, 25 years. And that by that time, by the way, we will also be the world's largest economy. That is the aim when we are, in 2047, celebrating 100 years of being a free country. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, in the upcoming panel discussion titled The Changing Face of Wealth Management and Its Gateway to Success, we will deep dive into the heart of new age wealth management professionals and models. First off, may I invite the moderator of the session on stage, CNBC TV18's senior editor, Surabhi Upadhyay.
Good evening, Delhi. I want to kickstart by getting your thoughts, both of you, on where we stand right now, the economic landscape, and what that means in terms of just the wealth opportunity. Richa?
Of course, the wealth is growing in country, and there is this shift from affluent to ultra HNIs, HNIs and ultra HNIs, which we are seeing, and the number is kind of compounding as we speak, right? So there's enough and more for all of us and all of us related to this industry to gain the market share as far as wealth is concerned. So that's what is a very positive story, and that we all have to kind of get our maximum share out of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Ashish, your perspective.
I run a venture capital firm. We're always raising capital. And over the last decade, I've seen a step change in approach of foreign investors, individual investors, right? There was a time when you go and pitch to investors, and the message was, I am not doing India again. Today, the situation where we're sitting in, India is not a question anymore. What people want to do is, where do I start? Where do I invest? Who are the right fund managers? So that's a huge shift, right?
Thank you both very much. This was a very enlightening conversation, and I hope the audience enjoyed it as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
In the upcoming panel, what we are going to explore is insights on the title, New Age Wealth Management Approach with Inspirations from Singapore. And we bring together a distinguished group of experts who will share their personal experiences, perspectives, and also what are the inspirations they derive from Singapore's wealth management practices. So without further ado, let me take this opportunity to invite on stage the moderator of the session, CNBC TV18's Ritu Singh.
So let me start with you, Vishal. As a young company, as a digital-first company in the wealth management space, just start by setting a context as to how big the opportunity now is, thanks to the advent of digital.
There are few trends which are happening today. One is the rise of the tier 2 and tier 3 cities for wealth. So how do you kind of reach out to them and create an efficient distribution model? You need technology to leverage that. Second thing that's happening is clients are increasingly, clients have historically invested across 2-3 different platforms, but they have a problem of consolidating that data and getting insights from that data. Right? That is something that can be today solved completely technologically, where earlier it used to be very manual interface driven. Another thing where I think technology is going to be playing a very, very big part is in the relationship management side, making it hyper-personalized. So today, using language learning models, you can create sort of a hyper-personalized engagement for every client. You don't have to send en masse messages to clients, right? Using machine learning, we can actually see the client's entire investment journey if they let us and if they give us permission. And from that, give them insights about their own behavior at various market cycles. And then curate products accordingly. So, those are some of the things that we find exciting.
Sarjeet, has your experience been similar?
I mean, the whole ecosystem is built up where the wealth creation, wealth maintenance, transfer of wealth on succession, all that is going to change in the next few years. And part of it is going to be technology, but part of it is because the demographics of India is now expecting more. and that will create the more futuristic driven technologies. And most of the fintechs, if you talk about it, knows that the bridge has to be by creating more customized, more my problem, my app, instead of one problem solution. And that's where I think the wealth is moving.
Ritesh, let me quickly get in your comments as well. Just give us a sense of, how technology has shaped some of the trends that you're seeing there.
When I started angel investing, this was 2013. When I was in my final year, I was working at Gangaram Hospital. I think there were hardly 10 to 15 angel investors. And today we have 2,800 people who mention angel investor in their LinkedIn profile. So I think as an industry it's growing, in my opinion, I tell everyone, have at least 2% of your wealth parked in startups. I genuinely believe the next wave of technological products will come from Bharat. They will not only solve challenges of Bharat, but will be built for the world. I truly believe that there will be, we have so many challenges, and the kind of R&D which will happen, and these are phases. Like in America, we saw it took them 50 years to where they are today, but India has leapfrogged. We have 83.5 crore people online. We're the largest digital democracy and open internet ecosystem. I think I'm very bullish on angel investing.
Keng, just quickly, is that something you hear from your clients as well? Are they very bullish about investing in the startup ecosystem? And generally at DBS, coming from Singapore, give us your, your own experience there. What the trends that you're seeing in the digital space, the investment themes that are playing out. Just your first thoughts to kick things off.
I think what's really happening in Singapore is that over the last few years, and particularly after COVID, Singapore has really risen in stature as a financial hub, and a lot of millionaires and billionaires have moved their assets into Singapore. And that's why we've also seen an increase in family offices, of which DBS Singapore is managing a large part of it. We think that that trend is set to continue. Trust, as mentioned many times in the past, that is a very important component of what we offer in DBS Singapore. And I think one point that I actually haven't heard in the last few presentations was diversification, which is very important. Because when markets are rallying, it's easy to get caught up, especially in the technology stocks, in the cryptocurrencies, because the more you make, the more you want to buy the same stock. You want to buy the NVIDIA, you want to buy the Tesla, you want to buy the Bitcoin. But when markets correct, they correct in a very, very severe way. So it's very important that we have diversification, portfolio diversification, and which is what we do across the wealth continuum in DBS, which is to engage clients on their portfolio needs, find out what exactly are they looking for, what is their risk tolerance, and make sure that they're invested across stocks, bonds, fixed income, private assets, so that they're not narrowly focused. I think that's one very important tenet in wealth management.
All right. On that note, Vishal, Sarvajit, Ritesh and Keng, thank you very much for candidly sharing your thoughts on the matter, and I hope it was an insightful conversation for everyone in the audience. Thank you very much for listening patiently. Thank you.
DBS Treasures Annual Wealth Summit, powered by CNBC-TV18.com.